Welcome to Enlightened Connections, a space for intuition, healing, and remembering what connects us. I'm Lisa Aston Michael. If you'd like to continue these conversations, follow on Spotify and stay with us. Welcome, everybody, and thank you once again for joining Enlightened Connections. I'm going to start this episode with a little quote. The future of medicine will be the medicine of frequencies. Now, that quote is often attributed to Albert Einstein, and he is not my guest today. However, John Graham Harper is. John is the founder and CEO of Lumiflex, a global company specializing in advanced red and near-infrared light therapy. A former competitive athlete across rugby, CrossFit, boxing and bodybuilding, his own experience with performance and injury recovery led him to develop practical, science-based tools for real-world healing. Under his leadership, Lumiflex has expanded internationally and received major recognition, including Time Magazine's Best Invention and Fast Company's Innovation by Design Awards. Their medically certified devices are used worldwide, from elite practitioners to military and emergency teams. And through the Lumiflex Academy, John also trains doctors, therapists, and coaches in the safe and effective use of light therapy. Welcome, John.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, Lisa. You've got a wonderful channel. You've got a great audience, I'm sure. And to be able to have access to that audience to share is very, I really appreciate it. Thanks so much. I love that quote about frequency. That's so true. And now you see so much of this information coming out, that people are becoming aware of our bodies, our ability to heal, and how simple it is to heal ourselves just using natural means. And it's exciting now, the phase that we're in our evolution, where we're kind of, we're waking up, you could say, to natural.
Yeah, absolutely. So, John, if we just have a look at your own journey, you began in high performance sport and injury recovery. Was there a specific injury or a moment where you realized that traditional recovery methods weren't really working for you, and that led you to create Lumiflex?
Yeah, that's right. I had like that aha moment with my left knee, which got damaged in rugby, but then I really just made it worse and worse doing CrossFit. When you do these like clean and jerk moves and you slam your foot on the ground to get the bar above your head. That my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, she was the one pushing me to use light therapy in the beginning. She bought this lamp like I've seen it all over the world in clinics, Chinese medicine clinics, especially, they always have this lamp, and it's using effervescent light. It's like a very large red bulb. It's like a red light, and it gets very hot. The heat is very, it's a very strong heat. And that was, I remember putting it close to my knee and doing 20 minutes every night is what the protocol my wife told me to do. And my knee recovered after a week of doing this. And then I did it for one extra week just to be sure. And to this day, my knees never had any problems. And that was what triggered the interest into light therapy. And I went down, in the rabbit hole of looking at all the studies. And I actually developed very close relationships with scientists that are very big into natural healing, very, very, very passionate about light therapy. And these, I can't say enough how credible and wonderful these scientists are that devoted their lives to, trying to educate the world about light therapy. And they were off, in 10 years ago, even they were shunned as being crazy and you don't know, I'm going to talk to my doctor. You're not a doctor, and now they're given red carpet treatment to all these events. And they're really finally getting recognized for all of the work that they did and all the passion that all this investment into educating us about light therapy. And these scientists, they're wonderful. They're very, natural in their approach. It's very simple in their approach. And they make you think like, how far have we come in medical to where we're now popping pills, and we're like, we as human beings, we're out of our natural environment. It's like getting a pot plant, with a flower, taking it out of its natural environment, putting it in indoors, and then seeing that the plant is dying and giving pills to the plant and being like, why is it dying? And we just need to go back to our natural environment. And it's, just with a simple concept like that, it really makes you think, and gets you excited as well about our body's ability to heal, provided we understand, our natural environment and what we can do, to help ourselves, right?
Yeah, I think that's really what you're saying there is really interesting to me, because it's not like these kind of therapies are new in a sense, like healing the body, healing ourselves naturally has been around for eons, but it's been taken out of our hands, taken out of our control. And even when I was a young teenager with not a great deal of responsibility or didn't think too clearly, I still always had this really weird feeling that there must be a better way. I had my appendix out when I was a kid, and I remember looking at the scar and thinking, this can't be right. This can't be right.
Yes.
Why does someone have to cut into me? There's got to be a better way to do this, because I, even at that early stage of my life, realized the body fixes itself. Like looking at the scar and going, how does that heal? How does that work itself to become this horrible wound, and then all of a sudden it's okay now. It's got an intelligence. It has its own intelligence. So there must
Yes.
be other ways that we can
Yes.
assist the body without these kind of archaic allopathic surgical methods. I hope no
That's
doctors
right.
are listening to me, but I've always felt that, and I'm really interested in this light therapy. But for people who have not heard of it before or haven't experienced it before, how does it actually work, and how can people wrap their heads around the results of what this can do, how powerful it
Yeah.
is?
Yeah, it's good to think and understand about where we are in the digital age now, right? Where we are right now, and our sort of our relationship with the sun, right? Because light therapy, it just comes from the sun, right? So we're very deficient. We're over 80%, deficient in sunlight in this day and age compared to how we were, at least in the modern world, in developed countries. So without this much sun exposure, all of these conditions are arising. So why is that? Think of the sun as like a multivitamin. There's different nanometers of light that the sun emits, and the red and near infrared light, these are healing nanometers for our bodies. So they pass the skin barrier and it activates your mitochondria. You're made up of 30 trillion cells. Each of those cells has an engine, which is the mitochondria. So by activating the mitochondria, there's three mechanisms that occur. There's increased ATP, there's increased blood circulation, and then there's a reduction in inflammation. So inflammation is not bad. And inflammation, when I say inflammation, I mean all inflammation. Anything from a headache, maybe some stress, to a wound, to, a broken shoulder like I had, or somebody dealing with cancer. It's just inflammation. And your body has a way of dealing with inflammation, and it sends signals to your brain. And right. And that's, if you get swelling or if you're in pain, that's inflammation. And your body is asking for increased energy and increased blood circulation. That's what it's asking for. It's asking, for energy. Give me energy. Give me energy. So when you give energy to to the inflammation drops. It goes down. So that's sort of a very healthy way to look at it, to demystify it, right? To take out all of the language that obviously isn't easy to communicate to our friends and family, to get them excited about natural healing, about light therapy. But think of anything to do with light therapy as cellular health. It's cellular energy. And that's even those LED masks that you see women use on TikTok for beauty. It's just giving your cells energy. Those cells are now able to do their job. They're able to perform better. It's the same as, plugging your phone battery in, or putting fuel into a car, right? The car can do what it's, what it wants to do, a U-turn. It can do it can do drifting. It can drive fast, do a full stop. The car can do whatever you want it to do, but the car needs energy. And the same with your phone. The phone, when your phone goes into like low battery mode, it starts to save energy. It starts to like stop doing functions. It starts to conserve energy, and our bodies are the same way. So when you're dealing with inflammation, it's not that your body can't heal itself. It just needs energy to, right? It just requires energy. And if you're in an energy surplus, it has now additional energy to be able to fight inflammation. And that's any inflammation. It really is any inflammation, because light therapy is dealing with things on a cellular level. So I always, when people ask me like, can therapy help with this condition? Or, with this, my mother has this, my grandfather has this, or I have this pain, I've had this for 20 years. It can help with all of this inflammation. It just needs the energy. Your body can heal itself. It just needs the energy to do that. Does that make sense? That's the best way that I can, get people excited about it. It's so simple. And then they can go and talk to their friends about it and get people turned on to it.
Well, I'm a personal advocate of that because I have just had cancer surgery on my face, and
Wow.
I had red light therapy used to, yeah. You can't even see it. Honestly, John, you can't even see it. And it was a nasty little fellow. And after I had the stitches out, the surgeon said to me, I'm going to give you some red light therapy treatment. And I didn't know what that meant for me, but I knew it was good. And I experienced it, and it was painless and it was beautiful. And this is healed in a way that I can't. I mean, you're looking at it. You can't see any scar.
It doesn't look like anything's even been there.
No, it's absolutely phenomenal. So although it wasn't a Lumiflex product, I can vouch for a personal experience of red light therapy and what that's done for me, because I was very worried about having a big scar or what was going to happen, because it's on your face. It's a worry, you don't want to walk around looking like Frankenstein, and it's quite frightening. And as you get older and your skin is not as fleshy as it used to be when you're young, it's a real concern. And this therapy was beautiful for me.
Yeah.
And that brings me a little bit to women, because we do have, maybe guys don't mind so much if they have a scar. They can say it was a shark attack or a bit of a football wound or something. But for women, it's a little bit different for us, just the way it is. And I know that a lot of women that have had surgery, so for example, any scar tissue, especially if it's the neck or the face, and after chronic pain or post-surgical or anything like that, it can have a psychological effect as well. And I suppose it's a funny question I'm going to ask you, but let's look at the psychological aspects of what the red light therapy does for people. What sort of responses have you had from people that have been through difficult times or have used this therapy for healing, and it's had a big effect on them? Have you had people come to you and give you those responses? Yeah.
Yes.
I'd love to hear some.
Overwhelming. Yeah. Overwhelming. Like the amount of clinical research that supports mental health in general, and the use of red light therapy is enormous. And that just again goes back to how we were in our ancient times with the amount of sunlight that we had, right? Like if like my father, okay, I'll tell you a story. My father went through a bit of a phase of depression, divorce, he had a rough time. And I told my dad, I was just like, just wake up when the sun rises. Just your day is going to be so different. And just for a week, when the sun rises, wake up and just watch the sunrise. It's in our biology. It's like, it's in us that when we watch the sunrise, we feel good. And that's red and near infrared light. So obviously there's, our cells like that as well, but there's also a psychological effect that it has on us, right? And that's our circadian rhythm, rise at sunrise, go to sleep at sunset. When the sun went down, we would build campfires. That's again, red and near infrared light. So that was our exposure to light. Have you ever sort of walked on the beach and you see people, they're like, they have a campfire. You get this feeling of like, oh, I want to sit there. And it's a feeling of fellowship, of security, of like, we're all together and we're safe, we're happy. And this is being in our, in our DNA for so many years of how we would rest and recuperate our bodies. But we're out of whack now and we're on our phones. We're exposed to blue light. We're turning on artificial light in our homes after sunset. So this affects us in a negative way. It's mentally, this is a cause of depression, anxiety, of so many mental factors. So exposure to red light, like I'll show you the device. This is my latest device that I've made. I encourage people, like, yes, this is a localized, targeted treatment. You got an issue, aim at the pain. There's the well-being protocol where you can, you put it on your heart, the back of your neck, your gut, you put it on your face. But I say, like, when the sun sets, and if you don't have sort of a setup in your home where you can turn on red light instead of using, the shiny light that you can see in my office here. But and especially when you wake up at night, if you need to use the bathroom, don't turn on the light because it tells your brain to wake up. Use this as a night lamp, and go to the bathroom just to keep your body in a resting state. Watch your sleep improve. Watch your mood improve. It's not like, oh, it's all clinically backed, and like there's research papers for days about how this can help you, right? About how this can not only help you with your mood, but help you perform better and just help your overall quality of life. Like I believe there was a study that's done in sports. The performance of sports went up by a team. I think it was a volleyball team. They did this study, and all they did was expose them to red and infrared light to optimize their sleep, and they performed better in their sport.
Wow.
So that if you understand about where we are now, where we came from, and how to biohack your life, that the term biohacking, in my opinion, is basically just getting old remedies, frequencies, light, all of that. That used to be in our daily life that was normal for us, and bringing it to the future where we are now and integrating it into your life. That's what biohacking is. And if you start, like, I have a term called, stack the hacks. You stack all the different hacks that that you can do. You optimize your light exposure. Obviously, your food intake. Water is a key thing. Make sure you're drinking proper water. Make sure you're grounding. Grounding is something not many of us do right now. Like, do we put our feet the actual ground? When was the last time any of us hugged a tree? And that's all. The tree has frequency, and this all is supportive in our lives, and it's all designed. The earth is like this playground where everything's available to us. It's all there natural. It's all sitting there waiting, but we're so detached from it now.
Yeah.
And we're going to this digital experience now where we're all on our phones and we're so disconnected from nature. It's no wonder that everything from injuries, to inflammation, to cancer, right, to mood. It's no wonder that this is all, prevalent now, right?
Absolutely. And I talk to my friends quite often about the difference in how we live now. When I was a kid, it was all about hopscotch and catching tadpoles and being out from sun up till sundown. You couldn't wait to get out. And, it was very much a healthy lifestyle. And you didn't so often hear about illnesses unless they were serious illnesses. Not like now. Everybody's got colds and flu and no immune system, and they all look anemic, and everybody's indoors and like this all the time. And I have a garden here where I live, and I've never got shoes on unless I have to wear them. And it's really important to ground every single day. As you said, it's super important. But one thing I want to ask you, I used to love the sun. I wasn't much of a beach girl, thankfully, but I always liked being outside as a kid. My generation was. But the sun now, it's really it seems like it's a different sun. We're all told to not be in the sun, stay out of the sun. The doctor even had a bit of a word to me about the cancers on my face. It's like, well, all I did was live. All I did was just be a human. And how do you see this being a different world that we live in terms of the sun that we have. What about the ozone layer? How does that affect us? Do we go to bed at night with red light lamps instead of other things, luminous lamps or luminous lights? Or how can we live in a good way now? How can we
Yes.
take better care?
Yeah. Yeah. I think everyone, if I'm 100% honest, everybody in the world has to realize that where we are right now in our evolution, we're always fighting inflammation. It's just not, unless you go off and live in, somewhere away from Wi-Fi, from car batteries, you know, really deep in nature, and you kind of like go off grid. You just have to accept the fact that our body's in a constant fight of inflammation, constantly, and we have to always, adopt tools. We have to use gadgets. We have to use wearables like Lumiflex. It's at its simplest form, it's a sun supplement. And it's not the UV light, it's just the red and near infrared light that's healing for us. It's a supplement for our sun. And like my mother lives in Perth, and she tells me like some days because I tell her like, make sure you get, your sunlight, and she tells me, she says like sometimes the UV rating, because you can check on your phone, is like 8. It's like such a powerful sun. And that's kind of, it's because, we live in a world where everyone's traveling everywhere. But if we're honest, that, 30 degrees away from the equator, there wasn't that much sun, but in those tropical regions, people in those regions had more melanin in their skin, right? They were able to withstand the UV light, right? So they could, and also there are clinical papers that show that your body's natural SPF levels raise when you use red and infrared light. So like my mother with very fair skin, my mother's originally from near, she's from Dover Cliffs. Yeah, she's from England. She's got very, very fair skin. So she still needs sunlight, but it's just the dose has to be a lot less.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, if you want to practice good sunbathing being your exposure to the sun, you want to develop a healthy relationship with the sun, and you want to use the sun in a medical sense. It's like you use the sun for your well-being. Not like sun tanning. Like
Yeah.
I need some color. If you practice good sunbathing, you understand your skin pigmentation. You understand the UV rating. You check the UV rating. You know the time of day, so you know when the UV rating is quite strong. And you go out and you get your sunlight, but you know your dose. You know how much you can handle, and you're like, okay, today is like I can do 15 minutes, and then I need to leave the sun. I can't handle anymore. I need to wait till later in the day. So if everyone understands that, it's okay. You can still practice good sunbathing. We can be outside, but we just all have different doses. People that have darker skin, they can be out longer. People with fairer skin can't be out as much. But red and near infrared light is something that, that's the special thing. You can't overdose on red and near infrared light, right? And actually, if you wear red clothing, if you wear any red clothing, it actually lets in red and near infrared light, and it blocks UV light.
Really?
It's something I got. We
Wow.
on our website, on lumiflex.com, we have this special silk that's a certain kind of thickness, and it's a very high quality silk that we've used like light measurers, and we've optimized the exact thickness of the silk to allow for all of the red and near infrared light to go into your body, and blocks all the UV light. So you don't want to use sunblock because that's a toxin, right? When you put a toxin on your body, and then it's a toxin.
Yeah.
Think of this.
Yeah.
Like I know one scientist who says, if you're not going to put it in your mouth, don't put it on your skin.
Right.
Like you're asking for trouble. And so you're like, okay, I don't want to. You can use natural sunblock. You can use there's certain kind of healthy oils that you can use to help keep the sun at bay, to keep the UV light. But if not, you can just wear red, and we have this red silk that you put on, and during the hot sun, and you're getting red and near infrared light. Like the ultimate red and near infrared light treatment is still the sun. It's still the best treatment you can get. The Lumiflex just acts as a supplement. when, you don't have time, you're at work, I can't go outside, or there's no sun today, or I'm traveling, right? But still, we want to encourage people to have a good relationship with the sun. Know the UV rating, know your skin pigmentation, have a silk little scarf if you ever, you want to get some red near infrared light. And then if not, just wear red. Just wear red. It works almost the same. It works the
That's
same. Just wear.
fascinating. I knew about color therapy and how it can affect the emotions and how it can affect the moods, but I never knew that it was such a powerful thing to use as, for that. Wow.
That's what I would do if I were you. And if you have a sunny day, I would,
Yeah.
if you look at red silk and you have a bad back and you want to, again, for the same reasons of red and infrared light, I would go outside to the garden. I would lay the silk on your back and I would literally support the inflammation on your back or your shoulder or wherever and just use the sun. You just line your body up exactly where the sun is. Know the dose. Okay, I'm going to do 15 minutes. It's exactly the same.
Wow. That's incredible. I know that you deal with everyone across from doctors and physiotherapists and the scientific world, I suppose. Is there a particular experience or a particular case that comes to mind where you have found that the Lumiflex has really made a profound impact on somebody?
Yeah, like one story is the Body Pro device that we have is kind of the device we're most well known for. It's the one that's used in the military. I sell it to the military in the US, and it's actually used in ambulances. It comes with like a kit. And someone had a car accident and they were in shock and they were in extreme pain and they couldn't be moved to the ambulance. So they got the light, they turned the light on and they shone it in front of their face to calm them down. And then they were able to move them into the ambulance and rush them to hospital. That was quite yeah, it's nice when you build a product and you have a vision. And I'm not like the smartest tool in the shed kind of thing. I'm a real sort of, I just work hard.
Well,
and I was
necessity is the mother of
right.
invention, isn't it? And you needed to
Yeah.
create something. You weren't happy at the time.
Yeah. I just really pushed for it. And then when you see the product being used really on the front lines of healthcare, it's very fulfilling. It's really, really fulfilling. I met a guy in New York. This guy, I took a video of it. My scientist was with me and he used the video for a documentary about light therapy. And he had a sore shoulder. And he said, "Oh, I've had this shoulder, for 20 years. Like I got this injury when I was in school. And I did 10 minutes on his front, 10 minutes on the back. He rolls his shoulder around, runs out of the conference, calls his wife, and he's like, "What are these guys doing? This is crazy light therapy." Like his whole worldview just changed, like right in front of our eyes. And he came back and he was like, we shot this video and he's like, what's this black magic you're doing? But I'll never forget that guy. That was just the look on his face, like, what? I've dealt with this for so long, and how I see that is I say, well, you're a healthy guy, you're well hydrated, everything's fine. It's just your body was at a slight energy deficit. It just never had enough energy, it never had that extra energy to be able to deal with that inflammation that you had for so long. So you gave that energy, and then your body was like, bang, the cells bang are ready to go. These sort of cases, they happen quite often. Everyone in photobiomodulation, we're very familiar with these on a daily basis. Some of these sorts of cases.
I noticed that you've got domestic units as well. For people like me, just little old me who's not a specialist or anything in the medical field, but if I have something happening, like for example, my face, what's just happened with my face, you have the units that I could buy as a layman that could help me. I could just do this at home. I don't need to go to anybody. I can do this at home and use this, I guess, for want of a better description, the domestic version
Yes.
of the Luminex on myself. I could just do that
That's right.
myself. And there's all the instructions that come with it. So
Yes.
what are some of the more common reasons the domestic market would buy
I mean,
aluminum?
I want anybody dealing with pain, like that guy with the shoulder issue. Don't go to the drug dealer, as I call it, right? Don't you
The
know
local
it,
pimp. Yeah.
yeah. The local cartel in your pharmacy near you. Like
Yeah.
there, like there's before putting something, like now we are at a stage in the world where we have to, we understand we're always fighting against inflammation. And usually a lot of these prescriptions and a lot of these medical interventions really cause more damage than they do. And they do not in any way make things like their main sell is like it can be fast. Like you can have pain relief now. You can have it now, and that's, of course, now everyone wants everything now, like need to fix it now. But really where long-term relief comes is something that is more slow. Like if you invest 2 weeks in addressing a back pain, a neck pain, a shoulder pain, an elbow pain, gut issues, that's a very big thing, is gut pain, and your brain, a lot of the issues that you have in your head can be fixed in your gut, and aiming light therapy on your gut. This can be, like there's some like digestion, irritable bowel syndrome, all of this. It's these like gut issues is like almost after 10 minutes, you'll immediately feel good. Like this is where you can find those fast relief. And anyone dealing with those issues, I didn't want the product, even though it's a medical product, I didn't want it to be, in, that there to be too many middlemen in between the
Mm.
product. I didn't want, oh, you have to go get a prescription. You have to go get advice from a doctor. I want everyone just to have it in their home. You put it in your bag, you use it on the go. That's why the liquid silicone, we invested a lot in the design of it to have
Mm.
something that you could even clean, because our protocol for use of light therapy is touching skin. You must touch skin. And the idea with that is we have a certain amount of output which we optimized into your body, and we don't want to lose that power output, right? Because when the device is at a distance, like if you have it like this, the light will reflect, it will ricochet, right? But if you put it to your face, all of that power output is optimized into your body. So I'm not really big on powerful light therapy devices, very strong devices that
Mm.
you stand at a distance and you have to wear goggles. I don't like that sort of approach to treatment. I think a more optimized treatment and more optimized power output direct into your body is the way to go. And it means that it can go mainstream. Everybody can have it. You can pick it up and, put it in your bag, use on the go. You aim it at your heart, your spine, these areas, because again, light therapy was something that was just natural for us. We were always outside.
Yeah.
So have it daily. So how are we going to have light therapy daily? Well, you got to have it on your person all the time. You have to make it so that you throw it in your bag and use it all the time. And then if you have no pain, then you start looking at like, okay, maybe I want to, I want to live longer. Maybe that's something I can start, I can look to optimize my life to where I can have longevity as my overall goal. And longevity is just cellular optimization. The healthier your cells are, the longer you live. It's pretty much just that simple.
So
Like
it's beneficial for prevention as well as
yes,
the after.
yes,
Yeah. Beautiful.
yes.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
if you have two people that are in the same accident, same injury, the person using light therapy consistently will recover faster than the person who just starts using it. There's a clinical paper on that. And it's just all because we used to have more sunlight in our lives. So
Wow.
that's it's something obviously I wish I knew when I was younger and I was able to jump on and optimize my life,
Yeah.
because obviously I don't feel like I was too late in the game, but I definitely feel I would have benefited a lot more if I'd known about this, and I respected the sun more. You're not always hiding from the sun with umbrellas or sunglasses or covering your body. I wish I knew this a little bit, earlier on.
Yeah.
live longer.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But I think also, the journey that you were on, because if you hadn't have done what you did, if you weren't that sports person and you weren't injured the way you were and you weren't unhappy with the only options that were available to you, you wouldn't have created this that has
Yeah,
been, obviously incredibly beneficial for everybody. I love the prevention thing. I'm huge on prevention. I absolutely am. And I don't think enough people take responsibility for their own health and
yes,
preventative. I think it was hundreds of
yeah,
years ago in China, they used to employ doctors. And if the job of the doctor was to keep you well. And if you got sick, the doctor got fired. Well, now we only go to doctors if we're sick. So,
yeah,
But another thing I wanted to cross with you is a lot of the listeners are animal people. And I was scouring your website and I went, oh, a dog, and there was the Lumiflex on the dog. And I thought,
yeah,
can you do this with horses? Can you do this
yes,
do you have bigger ones
yeah,
for horses, or I'd love to know, obviously it's safe to use on animals, but can it support pets, say, with arthritis or post-surgical healing or those sorts of
yes.
things? Like what are some of the things people could find useful? Well, it's all useful, but beneficial for some of the ailments their animals might have. And let's talk about horses too. I don't know if you do
That's
horses
right.
much, but
Yeah, yeah, there's in because we launched this product. It was about 8 months into launching. We've actually won 11 awards for Lumaflex. We've won more awards for design and innovation than any other light therapy product to date.
wow.
And it was a great product that we were like, wow, this is like it's going to change the world. But not many people knew about how to use it. So we actually built a whole education side of the company that's run by Peter Forehand. He's my scientist on the team. And we actually have a full course on pet health and equine care for light therapy. And anybody listening, if you're interested in going into our Lumaflex Academy, we've got 6 courses. I'll give anyone listening lifetime access to the education. All I need is your email. So if you hit me up on Instagram on John Graham Fitness, you give me your email and I'll give you free access. And we go through a lot of clinical studies. That the academy is more like where we look at the clinical research and then we start to integrate this into protocols. How can this help with your pet or with horses? Horses, a lot of the issues that they have are in their legs.
Yeah.
So we in a device that wraps around their leg, and then also something targeted for certain areas on the body, that address certain organs. I know in Poland we have a few horses that are like high performing race horses that use Lumaflex, which is quite cool. I
That's very
wasn't
cool.
yeah, I wasn't really like pushing into animal health with Lumaflex, but that was more like the distributor network. And even Kelly in Australia, she has a lot of huge network for horses and for pet health. She has a dog, a golden retriever, which is super cute. And that dog, her dog, we use that on our homepage as well. That's Kelly's dog.
Okay.
Super cute. The same the same mechanisms. It's all those 3 mechanisms: increased blood circulation, increased ATP, and then a reduction in inflammation. It applies to any and all cells, right?
Yeah.
Um,
And, the opening sentence, the opening statement I said was the future of medicine will be the medicine of frequencies. Well, the future is here. It's here
yes,
now. It's undeniable.
yes,
And I'm really excited about where this is going. This industry, is that the right word to use, of non-invasive healing.
yes,
There's
yes,
no need there's no need for it. I don't want to do surgeons out of a job. I think they're great, they're terrific, but there's always a much better option, less trauma to the body and very powerful healing.
yeah.
John, is there anything else that you want to add to this? Anything that you want to bring to the listeners that could really ease their mind, I suppose, about if this is a complicated item to use or if there's any dangers with it or how simple it is or even where they can get hold of this product? Because I know you have
Yeah.
a distributor in Australia, which I was a bit excited to see, to be honest.
Yes, I'll introduce you to get her on your podcast. You should talk to her. She has a very amazing wellness story as well, how she got into wellness. She's a life coach and she does speaking events and everything. She's a wonderful person. But really, like my goal is always to get people excited about light therapy. I got excited about it. I was like, what? How the hell did nobody ever tell me about this? And let's deep dive. Let's see how far this goes. Wow, where does this end? And it just keeps going and going where, all of the ways in which light therapy is helping the human condition in the world. So I really want to get people excited about it. Like first step, go to YouTube, type red light therapy, watch your first video. I guarantee you the first video, you'll be like, what? How did nobody tell me about this? To learn about light therapy, if you want to go from that zero to hero, jump on our education, go through all our coursework. And I don't really want to take anything away from other light therapy products. Like I see us all on the same train and we're all trying to like educate the world and get people excited about light therapy. Where Lumiflex comes in is we're just the portable one. We're the one you carry with you on the go, anytime, anywhere. It's natural. It's non-invasive. It's from the sun. You can't overdose on it. There are zero known negative side effects on light therapy. There's obviously, there's never been a study on pregnancy and light therapy or heart conditions on light therapy because no one wants to touch those studies. So if I wear the Lumiflex hat, I always say, don't use if you have a heart condition, consult your doctor. Don't use if you're pregnant, consult a doctor. But if I take off the Lumiflex hat and I put on my photobiomodulation enthusiast hat and I'm talking with all my scientists, I'm going to say, absolutely, you should use it when you're pregnant. Absolutely, you should use it if you have a heart condition. It's cellular health. It's from the sun. If you go out on a sunny day, it's like, and you're not like burning like a vampire, right? That doesn't to our body. It's the same thing. It's pure red and near infrared. So that's kind of where we fit, just the portable version. There are large devices you can get, which are great. They give you a full body cellular activation, right? Imagine, getting, having a beer or, drinking an entire bottle of vodka. You're going to get drunk fast, right? It's just like you're going to have a very high dose. And everybody's battery is different. So you can fill your battery, your full body's battery with a large device with about 20 minutes. That's what the clinical research shows. But everybody's battery depletes at different rates. Someone dealing with stress, their inflammation will, decrease slowly. But somebody who's, dealing with, chemotherapy they're going to deplete very fast. So they'll need a top up. So you can't overdose on light therapy on Lumiflex because it's localized, right? So aim it at the chest, the gut, the back of the neck, the face every day, morning, night. If you have a pain condition, 2 times a day, morning and night, check your pain rating. If you give yourself a pain rating 1 to 10, and say, okay, my pain's at 8, in 2 weeks, we'll get it to a 2. In the entire time of Lumiflex, like our sort of timeline is 2 weeks. That's like the longest we've gone with when it comes to pain. So,
Wow.
I'm more of a photobiomodulation enthusiast than I am with Lumiflex. Maybe that's why it's grown so much because I'm not like trying to sell a product. I'm trying to sell a treatment, trying to sell
Yeah.
a new way of, and then the product just sort of comes in as an option, but that's sort of the goal is always to raise awareness, educate people, and then, turn people's lives around and keep the drug dealer at bay.
Well, I don't know anybody that doesn't want to opt for healing in a gentle way and in a way that's
Yes.
proven, which obviously Lumiflex is well and truly proven.
Yeah.
And I love that you can just pop it in your handbag. I love what you've done. I love your products. I love what they can do for people. It's truly a beautiful thing that you've done, John, for the world. It
Yes.
really is.
Thank you.
John, before I let you go, I know it's a strange question. If you had one message for the world right now, what would your message be?
Get back to nature. That includes frequency, light, includes everything. Just we need to get back to nature.
Perfect.
Definitely. Yeah. Like I think, I believe the word truth comes from the word tree. If you want to know truth, observe a tree, observe nature. That's pretty profound. At least for me, it was pretty profound. So I always like us, like we're like that pot plant out of our natural environment. If you put us back in our natural environment, can you imagine how that flower feels? He's like, oh, thank God. And if you sort of entertain that idea and you just sit in nature, you're grounded, you got sun, you watch a tree, things start to make sense, like you start to become whole, you could say.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it makes sense to me because we are energetic beings. We might look physical. We might look like we're solid matter, but we're not. And I say
Yeah,
to people, if
we're
you
not.
really want to know what you're made of, stick a finger in a light socket and that'll tell you pretty quick that you're energy.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
this is
That's
beautiful.
right.
John Graham Harper, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and knowledge and your beautiful products that you offer to the world. Thank you for stepping out and making this big leap, this big change, because I really think this is the future. And it wasn't just little old me, it was Albert Einstein. So you're right up there.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for your
that's right.
time.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Lisa. Wonderful.
You're very welcome. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Enlightened Connections. Make sure you're following the show on Spotify or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. If this episode meant something to you, you can support the show by buying me a coffee. The link is in the description, and I read every message. And don't forget to leave a quick review on Apple Podcasts. It only takes a minute and makes a huge difference in helping others find the show. Until next time.